Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the official Nick Walsh TV channel. We're live once again. We are still in the desolate office. I say desolate, it's still quite a nice space, but you guys can see that we're still not making progress on the works that I want to do here to try and improve upon the situation in the office. It's still fine. There's actually more room for me to navigate than there was before. Which is always nice. I'm slowly trying to sort of like make room here for stuff, but this is a work in progress. We can still stream, we can still play cards, and I think that's what we're going to try and do today. So let's get into it, guys. What are we doing today? We're playing Spin and Goes, and obviously there's been a bit of a shakeup in the Spin and Go community universe. The merge between Spin and Go Flash and Spin and Goes has occurred. You guys will recall that just towards the end of Scoop, and actually probably all throughout Scoop, it was my intention to start a Spin and Go challenge, which is something that I was sort of saying also, it's not going to be really a challenge. I just want to play some spins and have a bit of a narrative for you guys to follow, share the results, good or bad, regardless of what's going to happen. And I had something in mind. Now, with this change, obviously things change pretty significantly regarding what we can expect from Spin and Goes. So the games are faster. There are more Flash-like games than there are normal-like games. The two communities have merged, which is theoretically better for the overall ecosystem and the player pool, with a larger number of players now being forced to combine. We are going to get through more volume at a higher variance. All of these things have been sort of rushing through my mind, and I've been sort of struggling to come up with exactly how I want to approach the challenge as a result. Now, theoretically, I think we could probably just do the same kind of thing. It is something that I still want to take on. I'm not shying away. I still want to do a challenge of some variety. But part of what we're here to do today is to play some Spin and Goes with the new structure. And I want to get a feel for it, because this is the first time I've actually played Spin and Goes since the change was made. Not because the changes were made, but because I basically was working on a bunch of other stuff behind the scenes. We were coming off the back of Scoop, had some personal stuff I had to deal with, and so basically this is the first time I've returned to a computer to play poker since then. So we're going to jump into this, and we are going to see how they feel, and this will be really important because what we glean from this, we'll glean sort of, how many games we can expect per hour. We'll get a feel for exactly how much like Flash, a handful of these games will play like. And, after we've done that, we can actually start to make adjustments to the challenge to understand exactly how we're going to approach it. So, for example, I originally wanted to play like 100K, maybe a little bit more, something like that, $100,000 worth of buy-ins for Spin and Goes. It might be more fun for us as the games are faster to set a smaller target with a smaller stake and blast through like 50K, for example, at a lower stake and see how that goes. I would say, generally speaking, what we're going to want to do as a guess is we're going to want to probably have a target where we play more volume in the equivalent amount of time. So, while I don't know the exact numbers, if we are playing more games that resemble Spin and Go Flash, then obviously that means we're going to get through a lot more volume, which has some repercussions for the actual rewards program as well, because it means obviously we're going to be clearing our reward tiers a lot faster, which is something we haven't chased in a long time. So, there's a lot to consider is what I'm getting at, guys. And I wanted to log in today kind of unofficially and give it a go. I say unofficial. I don't know why this is unofficial, but you know what I'm saying. Like, I think that once we figured this out And once we announce what we're going to start next week, which is going to be really exciting, you guys are going to enjoy that as well. I don't know when we're going to do that. Basically, I'm going to be all in on stream in some way, shape, or form from like next Monday, this coming Monday, until like August, like the 4th or something crazy. And then, of course, we're going to Barcelona immediately and all these other stuff. So there's a lot going on. I've taken a bit of time here to try and figure out exactly how I want to approach it. And once we actually figure that out, I guess it's safe to say we're going to be all in. So I'm going to be live on this channel a lot from Monday onwards. There is another thing that we are doing that is Spin and Go related that we can't announce yet. That is going to be a lot of fun that you guys are going to really enjoy, which hopefully you'll see across a couple different channels. But what I'm saying is that this is an important day because we're going to figure out what we're going to do, and then we're going to we're going to take this further, and we will do a challenge of some variety. I've also been working with a couple of my Spin and Go friends to discuss how these changes impact and, how we're going to do different math because, guys, for a long time I've been clinging on to my chip EV. You guys know how important the graph is to me. We'll take a look at that in just a second. But obviously the graph is only relative to the total number of chips available. And in a game where the new structure means that we have different chips at different multipliers and all the other stuff, there's different math that needs to be done. So basically working out just the nitty-gritty of it before we embark on what's going to be a very wild ride, I have no doubt. So let me send a message really quick, guys. I just need to post this really quick. I did my posting very late here, and therefore I need to send my tweet. One sec, guys. So that is sufficient. I'm going to do one on the Discord really quick, and then we'll be good. Nick will stream today, going live with the division. Blah, 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 blah. Perfect. Send. Sorry, guys. All right, so Nichols TV contents, everyone. Okay, we're live. Thank you very much for the sub, Curling Master. How's it going? All right, so let's get into it, guys. Let's take a look. Blah, 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 blah. I don't need this anymore. Let's take a look at a graph before we kick things off over here. See if I remember how to do this, right? All right, Spin and Go graph. So this is filtered specifically for regular speed Spin and Goes. You guys can see we played a lot of games and we're winning a lot of chips. Hey, thank you very much. Appreciate it, guys. Let me actually give proper shout-outs here. We're going to open up Twitch. We're going to open up channel. And we're going to open up Creator Dashboard. I forgot how to stream, guys. This is funny. Stream Manager. All right, so first things first. Tom, thank you for the sub. Curly Master, thank you for the sub as well. I really like those. And also tons of followers as well while we've been offline, which is great to see. Thanks, guys. Shout out to everybody in the chat. What's up, Rick? What's up, Guru? What's up, Luke? Hello, All-In. Full Spin Poker. Good to see you, buddy. Frankster, hello. I'll get to your questions in a minute, guys. I do want to be in the poker category. Am I not in the poker category? Thank you very much. What's up, Joni? What's up, Mr. Swain? What's up, Kissagram? Hello, hello, hello. Lighter Maximo over there on YouTube as well. Hello, Aaron Paul Kramer. I know it's a surprise. I know. What's up, guys? All right, so really quick, let's get through the questions. Hey, thank you very much to Jakers as well. Appreciate it, guys. I haven't even done anything yet. So Frankster was saying, is it poker anymore? Didn't spins of 2x and 3x become flash? So essentially, I would say close enough to say that. Yeah, 2x and 3x have become very fast. Having said that, obviously there are people that are playing, spin and go flash. That was their preferred method of play. Obviously, that's not the preferred of everyone necessarily, and I fully appreciate that. what I do want to say, guys, before we proceed is I really like spinning goes. I have been playing spinning goes for a long time. I played them professionally. I became a spinning go personality here with you guys on this channel. And I guess it's safe for me to say that I really, really like the way that spinning goes were before. And I really like the pacing of a regular spinning go, or what we called a regular spinning go before. Um, I appreciate that actually there had to be a shakeup in the ecosystem, and if it was up to me, I probably would have altered the way that we changed the structure differently. It was, of course, nothing to do with me. However, all of you guys who have been very kind to provide constructive feedback, your voices have been heard, and I've made sure that anybody that's spoken to me personally or on my Discord or anything like that, that information has been passed along, and that's very important to me that you guys have a voice and that we can have a conversation about how we want Spinning Goes to progress into the future. I would have preferred to have spins be normal spins. However, a change needed to be made, and I agree with that it needed to be made. I think that I would have preferred to have had a higher frequency of games be, I guess, what we would have called a normal spinning go. That's definitely something I would have preferred. However, what I will say is part of what we're trying to accomplish today, or part of what I'm trying to accomplish today, is to actually take a proper look at this and see how they really feel in pace. Now, the other thing I will say is this will be a fun experiment because the 2x multipliers are literally just spinning go flash. Everything that's higher than that has been adjusted in some way, shape, or form. So there is actually more play the deeper the multipliers that you go. And therefore, like if we look at it now, if you guys just Google spinning go PokerStars, you can actually take a look at it. If you guys haven't seen the changes, go take a look for yourself. But basically, 2x multipliers have a 300 chip starting stack and a 1 minute level. So that's regular flash. The 3x multipliers are a 300 chip starting stack, but with a 2 minute level. So actually twice as long on the clocks, but obviously you're starting with significantly less big blinds. At the 4x multiplier, you're playing 400 with 2 minutes, and then 5x is 400 with 3 minutes. So really probably by the time you get into a 5x, you're playing what is going to be pretty darn close to a normal spinning go as we knew it before. 4x, 3x, 2x have been accelerated extremely to be extremely fast. So let's get a feel for it, guys. Let's not get too bogged down in this conversation. Let's go and give it a go for ourselves. Frankster, what I will say is there's still going to be an edge for sure. It will be an edge that probably requires more volume to realize hello. However, Luke says not a big fan of the new structure, to be honest. Hopefully a normal spinning go will come back at some point. So I think probably, Luke, the best thing that we can do is we can just provide all the feedback that we can to stars, try and be as constructive as possible with the things that we liked about the game, the things that we appreciated. I know a lot of people who really like the normal speeds are not going to like this because they never enjoyed playing Flash. And obviously, merging the two is not going to be satisfactory for those players. So, it's going to take some getting used to, but keep the constructive feedback coming. And we will do our best to get that across, and we'll see how it progresses because obviously it'll be driven by what you guys have to say. Hello, Curly Master. Am I ready to grind massive? I mean, we're gonna try. Let's play some games. We'll see how we go. Curly Master, absolutely, buddy. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, sorry. I've wasted too much time now, guys. My apologies. Let's play some spins. So, let's go ahead and fire up some tens. Like I said, this is an exploratory thing. Let's see how they feel. Now, why? Sorry, guys. Let's fire up some tens, and let's see what we can find. All right, first game. Are we hearing the stars thing? We are hearing stars. What a call. All right, so let's get into it. Curly Master says, I'm sure you'll be mainly discussing regular spins, but if you have time, could you quickly discuss and comment on Spin Max as well? Sure. So I was never a Spin Max player. I have played Spin Max in its previous incarnation and in the new incarnation. I didn't like the additional, like, I kind of always felt like spinning goes. Well, okay, it's fast and it's three-handed and it's winner take all, but it's still a regular poker tournament. Having the extra stuff added, the forced all-in aspect, the box picking and all that kind of stuff, to me it was just a bit too extra for my taste. I was not a fan of that, so I kind of steered clear. So I can't really comment on how it works now in its new incarnation. That's kind of all I have to say. I feel like I played a few of them, and I know that they've removed some of those elements, so actually it might be worth taking a look at now, but I really haven't played enough to comment more. Max says, when I was looking at your poker vids a year ago on YouTube, your channel is what got me to sign up and play these pretty much exclusively, faster pace, faster results. They are, I love spins. I really do. And you guys can rest assured that I've had a couple suggestions on, on ways that I think we could improve upon the format, even post change. Jake, you said the Chippy V calculations will need to be more sophisticated now. So I had a conversation about somebody who's very much in the know about that, and it's basically as simple as working out what the average is. It's not going to be really that different. I've got the numbers somewhere. I can share them with you guys if you want. I got the numbers, and I'll give you guys a heads up when I fully look through it. Do we have a value bet on this river? Maybe not. Oh, he had a 5. Yeah, Tom, I hear what you're saying for sure. No, it's not in Ontario yet. That's correct. Hey, thank you for the gifted tier sub as well. Mac, very kind of you. Thank you. All right, we've won our first very fast spinning go, and I tell you what, it felt like a flash. One of the things I will say about Spin Flash is they had that really cool background, right? You clicked and like the lightning bolts. What's up, Ed K? Good to see you. Yeah, so it was in Italy, and the changes happened in Italy and .com so far. Magakaze, we will have to see. I don't think that is in anyone's best interests. So like I said, keep the feedback coming, and if it does transpire that this is negatively received, I would expect that we're going to see evolution perhaps. Okay, so this is why is this not snapping? What's going on here? Oh, that's why. That's weird. It's not how it's supposed to go. Match title, otherwise fine. There we go. That's the one. All right, so we rolled a 4X. So this is actually starting with 20 big blinds now. And this will play with 3-minute clocks, I think. History. What's your history? So this is a 4X multiplier. So it's a 400 chip stack with 2-minute clocks. So it's actually 400 with 2 minutes. The average stack is 313 in this format. You have to divide that amount, multiply by 5 to switch normal spins. That's exactly it. Yeah. That is the one. Let's do this. Yeah, there you go. That is basically exactly what I've been told as well, by the way, guys. Not that I don't trust full spin poker, because I do. I do. Okay, I think we can probably just fire flop now. Bring the lightning bolts back, I think, for sure. That's an immediate demand. That is an immediate demand. All right, we like to limp buttons apparently. We're gonna open, gonna ISO it to 3.5. Apparently we're limping buttons these days. Apparently we're limp calling buttons these days. Apparently we are limp calling buttons. So, are we going to get away from this hand? I would say seems unlikely, especially now. Seems unlikely. And that's a snap. Oh, what's this? 1 second, guys. Jet set throwable. Jet set season throwable. All right, let's take a look. Jet set season. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. So full spin, you've had the changes for quite some time now. You've had the merge. What are your feelings on it, buddy? God, that's so loud. Sorry, guys. We gotta get new alerts in there. Thank you very much, Full Spin Poker, for the 5 community subs. You're way too kind, buddy. Sorry, that is really loud, guys. He did pay it forward. All right, so there was a limp and then there was no bet.
Actually, if only there was someone that was an expert at sub 25 big blind.
Thank you for the follow, appreciate it.
That's what you sound like.
What's up, Fixie?
That's your voice.
All right. Blinds are up again. This can just be a push. How aggressive has this guy been so far? Not so, right? We could probably just do this. 6-7 suited definitely is probably mostly GTO push here. I would say probably a hand that will profitably push. Well, 100% profitable push, but this is also going to be a hand that we feel good about limping with more. Don't anticipate our opponent is going to have that much King X or Ace X, but we'll see. Yeah, we're definitely calling. Games have been good so far. It's a weird line because when we check the flop, we're just not going to have that much give up. So with the faster formats now, with the faster clocks and everything, I think we probably end up having to take these spots a lot more aggressively. Like 10-9 suited is already a call here, regardless, right? But you know, against the right opponent type, there was a universe in the past where we would have been, you know, extra super cautious with certain combinations, is my point. 10-9 suited is going to have too much equity to want to fold there, so I think we just go ahead and get the chips in. Running into queens feels fantastic. Feels even better to suck out. Let's go. 4x multiplier. The king 7 jam, obviously, easy peasy. At that stack depth. Obviously, you should throw a jet set when you have aces. I did a big bath at 25 euros in this 5 months now. I'm crushing the 10s. Okay, cool. So we'll just start with the push here, I think, with the 4s.
Actually, if only there was someone that was an expert at.
Tornier, thank you very much for the follow. Where have you been, Tornier? Thought we were friends. Oh. The 4 doesn't really change a lot, but there you go. Winning all-ins is easy. And ace-9 of spades, obviously, super juice hand. If I remember correctly, we're 3x ISOing the ace-9 suited here. We're trying to get action from these sort of sweet suited aces. Limping a6, and then we're going to call a shove if we need to. Theoretical trap here, guys. Yeah, the queen-5 jam, not sure if that one's approved or not. But we may or may not have just won the first 3 games that we played here, which is something. That is something. I mean, we're playing the 10s, right, guys? We were playing 25s previously. So far, in fairness, we've seen a fair few names we don't recognize. We've got a 5x multiplier as well. So we're at 5x. So this is effectively going to be, I say effectively. So we start with 20 big blinds instead of 25. But then we have full 3-minute clocks. So slightly shallower, but regular sort of speed. Facing a 2x steal in position. We're going to call. This could be like a really good sizing here, but okay. Going to add that to my list, by the way, guys. I got to do my alerts, don't I? We're going to be streaming a lot more on this channel starting from next week, so you know, that makes sense. We're going to do that sooner rather than later. It's like insanity, only worse. Yeah, Mac, I can only hope, buddy. I can only hope, but also it's gonna be it's gonna be hilarious if I'm like, yeah, hey, cool, let's give it a go, have a great stream, just like run really hot, and then as soon as I start my challenge, it's just all sadness. Yeah, I would say we probably do want more action here, so let's go ahead and just pump this up. I would say probably 3.5 is acceptable. It does seem like we're seeing a lot more limping on buttons, which is either a sign of extremely sophisticated poker or people who don't know how to play poker. Which is a pretty polarizing place to live, you know what I mean, guys? Fairly polarizing. I think that's fine. We're obviously going to call a jam here. I don't know, Tom. What do you think? Should we? I'll send you a message 1 sec. Yeah. Okay. So this is just not thing. This is not a thing. So we're just gonna assume that Steve Little doesn't play a ton of spins. (3x) call Jack 10 suited probably is not the end of the world. His hands. Yo, what's up? PokerStars Strag with the resub. How you doing, Strag? Welcome. This isn't golf, I know. Oh, speaking of which, I got to play my golf, don't I? Let's get another game in. 3x steal, call with Jack 10 suited. Actually, not that crazy. It's you know you're not putting your chips in good, but it's going to have enough equity most of the time against the hands I jam there. I have to look it up. I think that I think it's probably okay. Now, defending the big blind and then full pot donking is not a thing we do in that other spot that he played. Full spin poker. I don't know. You gotta wait and see. You gotta wait and see, buddy. I guess you gotta wait and see, mon frere. I am tech support. It's a lot worse than insanity. All right, so here you go, guys. I think we are supposed to value bet. Oh my God, he's so good at this game. And let's get started with a little limperoo here. Let's fire at the flop. Getting check raised on this flop is a little bit scary. I don't really see how one escapes, though. I think this is probably the best way to get paid against other worse fives. Nice. Any suited hand works here. Yeah, nah, not that one. Okay, let's sneak in some limping here. Ace-9 suited is a good one to actually have as a limp call versus not all in. It's also a good hand to have as a limp call versus jam, of course. It's pretty high up in the range, really, in the grand scheme of things. Now, betting turn seems okay. I think probably checking is going to be superior. We will have to call some river bets here. And I am tempted to call the 2 on the river. This could be like a guy making a value bet with a queen or a jack, I guess. I don't know. I think he bluffs here too much for us to fold if we're going to play our hand slow. It's a good value bet with the jack. I really like that line. But by the time we get to the river, a lot of times people will represent their 7x. The queen x is a little bit more whatever. People will check that again as a trap more often. But I do think that if we are going to slow play the turn, then we need to be aware that ace high has to call some rivers against somebody that we have as a perceived reg. Yeah, as soon as I wrap today's stream, we're gonna have to go and put in some reps on the course before time runs out over on PGA. All right, we flop a flush draw. I think on this turn we do fine just leading like this. Try and generate some fold equity, of course. I think actually we want to do this now. This would be pretty cool. Wish me luck, guys. I think that betting not all in is a bit weird. And I think also we probably want to do some trapping with ace-9 here. It's close. It'll probably be 50-50 trap shove. Trap or shove. If he does that, we're just going to rip, though, of course. Against the reg, obviously, they're going to ISO more aggressively as a bluff, which is like kind of the whole point of those moves. And then I think we're actually just in this realm here. Do feel a little bit rusty, guys. I think so far everything's been pretty kosher, but you know, there you go. Oh, okay. Interesting, because now I think probably we're going to do this. And then we're going to value bet the 10. I think the value bet now is a little bit thin because he can still have Jack 10 and also 8-10 that doesn't want to fold often. But the idea was to raise turn and then bluff river if we missed, right? When we hit the 10, we have reasons to slow down. And then at this point, guys, I think we're just going to have to call here too. When we're playing the faster format, I think it's important that we stick closer to Nash. And this obviously is well within a Nash range. poker. Reg v reg is another conversation we need to have, though, guys. Right? Like this is another reason why labeling is going to be super important in the new environment. First of all, theoretically, there should be a lot more players, so you're not going to necessarily have you're not the same faces all the time, which is a good thing, of course. It's having a more diverse crowd is going to be better for everyone, generally speaking. So having good notes on people, having good labels, I think is going to be really critical. And actually, probably one of the most important aspects of that is if you're playing against somebody that you know is definitely playing volume, they definitely know how to play spinning goes in some capacity, you can play a lot closer to Nash, and you're going to know when to make those adjustments. Having said that, with the game playing a little bit faster, or a lot of it faster, I guess is fair to say, we probably are just going to want to take those spots every time. Like I think there was an argument when we were playing regular spin and goes, or regular speed previously. I think there was an argument that we wanted to, avoid certain all-in spots that were close against players that we knew we had a good edge against. I think probably there's still going to be some scope for that, but spotting those opportunities is going to be a massive part of like your edge moving forward, right? Because if we are in the middle of we're in the game, we're in the middle of the game flow, and we go, all right, fish is all in. The recreational has decided to go for it. Being able to spot how much more leeway we have to adjust away from that at different stakes is going to be, I think, a pretty significant thing. All right, so this is an interesting spot now, guys, because I think there's a huge opportunity to go big here. And the reason for that is anybody with a club doesn't want to fold. Anybody who limps the button and then doesn't bet ace, queen, queen is very often going to wind up having traps. And that's the only way we get value. We only get paid by the draws that call and the hands that are made. And both of those are hands that want to call in that situation. So that works. I am a whale. What do I do with queen, four clubs here? Let's do that. Oh, it was a snappy check as well. It's good to know. Well, bear that in mind. We are going to bluff turn, but we want to set up to shove river. My intention is to triple off here. When they snapperoo pre-flop, do you think King Jack Trey or whatever is going to actually hit them that hard? Probably not. If anything, they'll have a flush draw that might get sticky twice, which means we got to have the third bullet ready to go. I would say that a lot of hands that feel really good about that flop are going to give us some consideration pre-flop, which is important. All right, take flop here. We managed to hit the 5. I don't think we're betting it, though. Still checking. I'd be interesting if they bet this river. Just like if checking twice and then getting to the river and the river's a jack and you bet is always a bit suspicious. Because a lot of the jack X's that aren't a straight draw are just a hand that they bluff aggressively. And then a lot of the jack X's that are straight draw is semi-bluff anyway, right? So this one's interesting. I think we're just going to let this one go with the imbalance between stacks. Congratulations, Drag. I'm going to need to brush up on my ultra short stack callings, though, right? Because, like, a lot of the work that I did for the Spin and Go chart pack is going to be it's all the way down to 5, and then 5 is just Nash. But my memory of three-handed Nash is under 5 effective is not usually that useful. Sorry, guys, this is work related. So Jack 5 will probably still sneak into a limp here. I think we can probably delayed c-bet this one as well. I say delayed c-bet, delayed bet. This is going to be fine on the turn. Sorry, guys, it's a bit sunny in here now. All right, King 6 suited. This is probably cool. Checking seems fine as well. I actually can't remember this one exactly. Hard to continue from there. Put that one in the bin. Blinds are up. Super short stack now in the 3x multiplier. Yeah, just got to fold that one. Easy push for 4 bigs. 3.5 bigs with the king tray off feels good. Calling range here is pretty big from the player out of position, though. Yeah, ace 4 is going to be a spin. Well, wish me luck. Queen. Oh, my God. Well, that is one way to do it. King 4 is a push here, guys. God, this takes me back. Shoving offsuit kings. Shoving offsuit kings heads up and getting berated for it on the internet at like 5 big blinds effective. Full Spin Poker says, how many spins do you do in a year? It really depends on the year, mate. I would say that these days, you know, the majority of spins I play are just the ones I play on stream. In the past, I was playing, you know, 200, 300 a day, something like that when I was working. When I was really grinding it out. With the Spin and Go challenge, I don't anticipate I'm going to have to do that much extra time because with the adjustments made to the structure and everything being much faster, you know, the actual number of games per hour is going to increase. And then of course I'm gonna make use of this. We set this up beforehand, guys, but we had the 2 tables set up ready to go from before. Man, this is probably just a call, isn't it, guys? Against a reg, I think, again, these are the spots where we want to be a little bit more careful because as soon as your opponent, as soon as you know your opponent is a reg, your ability to call there just gets so much better because there are certain players that just will not be shoving anywhere near the right number of combos in order to make that a profitable gig for you. I'm just going to 2x this flop. I would say this is pretty unbalanced, but I'm not really that concerned about it with this flop texture. What I'm trying to do is really punish some of these top pairs. I think checking the turn is probably going to be okay as well. Having the 6 of hearts be here means he's got fewer kind of combo draws and stuff like that. But on the river, there's a value bet. Now, when our opponent sort of sheepishly calls the flop, yeah, we're going to do this. When our opponent sheepishly calls the flop and then checks it down, I don't think they have the straight often at all. I think they're going to end up having a lot of 5x, 4x. And we're going to get a lot of value from that. Let's see what he had there, guys. Turns up here with king 5 exactly. Does pretty well not to do a whole stack on that top pair, so like it's pretty respectable. But like again, we're thinking along the right lines. We're activated in the right way, so it's like really, really nice to not sheepishly shy away from those moments and get max from that combo, despite the board being a little bit scary. Chow Henry is a reg, yeah, for sure. I mean, no, we got the select winner up here. I think it's safe to say that reg can go on there. You know, what kind of reg is the question? 200 to 300 days crazy work. It was a crazy time. Not to be confused with crazy time. Oh, see what happens on the turn now. Oh, the one big blind C bet on this turn, man. This could be like a really nice bluff exploit, but I'm not really sure how to proceed from here, to be honest. So I guess we're going to get away from it. I think there is a good chance we're making the right fold there. So we're at 5 and a bit. I think we're going to default to the push here just because it simplifies a very fast 2x multiplier. And I think that picking up chips in those situations is going to be so critical in the faster games, right? Like we're not gonna do better than shove fold if we know it's profitable. Queen 7 of spades has definitely got to be a call here, though. We are well within a call with the Queen 7 of spades here, like miles and miles and miles at that stack depth. I don't remember this one. I don't remember the 6-3 suited. I always forget that one. This has got to be a call as well if he puts it all in. And the deuces. Prefer folds here. Or getting called by ace deuce. That would be pretty good. Counterfeited by the 10 high. Sorry, I got to open this chest, guys. Ice cream throwable. Yeah, wish me luck, guys. Here we go. We're just going to follow the rules here with the push fold, especially at the 2x multipliers. And GG's. Yeah, feels good. Let's keep going. More volume, please. So far, you know, we have had a mix. We've had a 5x, a 4x, a 3x, and a 2x. The 2x's are flash, aren't they? Basically, that's the important takeaway here. The 2x's and 3x's are going to play speedy. So that's what we're going to bear in mind when we're trying to figure out how to do our challenge. I guess I would say I guess that means probably just my initial instinct is going to be correct. We're probably going to want to move down stakes, which basically increases the volume. So if before we were going to play 100K at the 25s, playing 50K at the 10 seems like a nice sort of compromise, because it means we end up playing more volume, which is required for the higher variance game. Interesting turn. I don't know if we can continue here. Nice hand. Oh, that's the door, guys. 1 second. not a good start. Queen's cracked. Just one sec, guys. Let me check on that door. Sorry, guys. I also realized I wasn't talking to the mic that whole time. Yeah, had to go get the door. Sorry, guys. Got a delivery of some variety. You'll have to remind me of the King 5 spot. I don't know which one it was. Hey, thank you very much to Croaks for the tier 1 sub. Strag, thank you for the resub, of course, as well. Lawler says, will you be in Vegas at all this summer? I'm going for the next 6 days. Well, good luck to you, mate. I'm not going to be in Vegas. I'm hoping that very soon I'll be able to talk about exactly what my plans are for the next month and a half or something. I've got a lot planned here, guys. It's Taipu Paipu. Taipu Paipu. My favorite player, Taipu Paipu. Taipu Paipu. We got paid. I'm assuming it's ace high. He had king 5 off. Interesting. He didn't want to bet that at any points. I'll take it. No, Lola, I won't be there this year, though. Sorry, May. I've got my schedule is about to absolutely blow up. This is gonna be pretty close. I think probably a6 is a call there, but we'll see. Stephen Wynn, how's it going? So I'm streaming to YouTube and to Twitch at the same time. So I'm having a conversation with both of you across both platforms. That's why you're seeing it that way. BTC says there's no difference between 1s and 10s, only bankroll. Yeah, of course. I mean, like, yeah. So there's a couple things at play here that I'm trying to address, mate. There's no difference between 1s and 10s. Well, first of all, there's going to be a difference in the skill level, of course, which will impact on your overall edge. What I'm really adjusting for isn't to do with bankroll, though, mate. It's because the new spin and go structure means that there is a higher frequency of fast spin and goes versus the old format where we could choose between regular speed and flash. So there is a difference because originally what I intended on doing was playing 100K at the 25s, but that was at reg speed where the chip EV would be higher and therefore the variance would be lower. With the new format, it's going to require more bankroll because it is a higher variance format. So yes, I'm kind of agreeing with you, but also not, because there have been changes that have altered the way that the game is played, and then also, of course, like I said, we can't negate the skill element as well. Steven, by the way, there's also a delay, so if I'm not responding to you right away, it's because I am responding to you right away, but then there's a delay between you and I because I have to play with cards up here. We get ace-5 and good here. Little 4 would be nice. KJ wins this one. Nice hand. I don't know about that, Matt. I mean, so far it's been a mix, but again, we can't really make up our minds playing just a few games. It's not really scientific, is it? The one where I had sixes and he had king five. So yeah, I thought you might say that. Yeah, I think probably is just a jam versus limp. Mr. Swain. That's a pretty big flop. That's a pretty big flopperoo. I think we're probably going to want to size our check raises like this. Okay, Jables for the 2x multiplier. Love to get action here. All right, let's go. Running into aces feels pretty pathetic, but we're obviously not folding jacks. Midnight GMT tomorrow. Oh, midnight GMT today. Yeah, I was going to say that's what I thought. Two live cards, any good? Oh my God. What a run out. All right, next game. Only 4 days till Lex Live, that's right. It is hot in Brighton, ladies and gents. My goodness. Sorry about that. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, good. I'm currently the clubhouse leader over John Delano, so that'd be quite a coup. Quite the coup. Quite the coup de grace. Yo! Thank you, John Edwards. Thank you for the sub. Hello. How's it going, John Edwards? Welcome. All right. Kid Vicious, limping the button. I feel like I know that name from somewhere. Well, now I'm terrified. Kid Vicious limps the button and is barreling confidently into two players. Oh my God. Are we about to make the sickest hero fold of all time in the history of poker? Would have chopped it. We would have chopped it. The fact that Kid Vicious is limping there actually goes the other way, though, so unfortunately. Also, what color is blue? I don't even know what my blue color is anymore. Excellent, excellent stuff there. I mean, we were right. He had value. It's just value that he should never in a million years ever have in the history of poker. Limping King Deuce of Hearts. Could be wrong. I'm willing to be wrong, but I don't think it was actually King Deuce suited as well. To be fair, that does make a difference. I'm willing to be wrong, but I think you know. Lighter and Steven, yes, the games are much faster now. The combination of spin and go flash and spin and go regular, or what we used to call reg speed, does make these games significantly faster. That's kind of what we're here to experiment with today, because if I am going to take on a challenge, understanding how much more variance we can expect is going to be really important to the decision making process and how we structure that. Steven is asking, one sec, I think we just run this one, right? God, where are we at? No, we're at 2 and a bit, aren't we? We fold this one, we call any 2 with the next one. Can never remember the super shallow ones. I guess I need to practice those. That works nicely anyway. Yeah, cool hand, Matt. Look, that's what we're trying to work out, though. Keep your eyes peeled. Let me know what you think. Steven says, do you think the intermediate players get crushed in the $10 bind because people are like spamming it all day? So there's a couple ways I need to respond to that. I don't know my three big blind shoving here. This is ridiculous. 9-5 off, guys. What are you with 9-5 off? Are we shoving that one? Diamond. Okay, fine. So, do I think intermediate players get crushed at the 10s? Not necessarily. It depends. It depends on your skill level. I don't know what intermediate necessarily means. Also, having said that, Steven, if you weren't aware, spin and goes used to be spin and go regular speed, spin and go flash. Flash was a much faster version of spin and goes. They've now merged the two, so we're playing a lot more spin and go flash games than regular speed because they've combined the two pools together. Can we get a hold? All right. So again, it's going to be a bit of a shakeup. It's going to take a little while for everyone to kind of figure out. This is an any 2 card call, guys. It's going to take some time to figure out exactly how things shake out after everything is said and done. Because anytime there's a shift in the meta, it's going to impact on your expectations from buy-in levels and stuff. Also, the buy-in levels that people choose to play. Also, the frequency that they play them. So obviously now, with the games being faster, there's going to be a lot more volume going through. If you're playing regularly, it's a higher variance format, which means that now you're going to need more volume in order to flatten the variance, etc., etc. And what makes someone hard to play against in spin and goes? So somebody that's just really well studied, Steven. So if you know if you can basically work through almost every single situation in a spin and go, you can memorize almost all of your pre-flop really, really well. That helps. Having a very strong foundation in theoretical decision-making pre-flop is going to be super useful because you're going to know how to play most situations optimally most of the time, and your opponent might not, and they might make big mistakes as a result of that. I would say that people's ability to adjust very rapidly for specific player traits is going to be one of the biggest things that gives you an edge over your opponents. If we assume all players play perfect spin and goes, there's not much of an edge. It's knowing how to exploit specific tendencies in certain players that's going to give you a significant edge. Lighter is asking, do I like Flash? I don't mind Flash. I was never a Flash player because I preferred regular speeds. I feel like from a fun, enjoyment experience, I liked that there was more battle in regular speed spinning goes. I have played tons of Flash in the past, but for the most part, the Flash that I played, was, just when I had a really short amount of time or because I was trying to get to a specific bonus target or whatever. That's not necessarily true, Lighter. Definitely plenty of proper spin Flash regs, but I appreciate if it's not your jam, it's not your jam. I get it. Am I on TikTok? So I made a TikTok account some time ago, but I've never actually used it. I do intend on using it soon. When I start creating content around the challenge, I'm going to try and When I start creating content around the challenge, I'm going to try and get it on TikTok as well as Instagram, but I got to figure out how I want to do that too. There's a lot going on right now, guys. You have to understand. There is a lot of things going on and things to look forward to that I'm working on from a production side of things. We want nothing to fold. Let's do that. Check the turn. Oh, we got another throwable. Coffee throwable. Nice. Okay, where's my Isis coffee? All right, that's interesting that they check the turn. Okay, do I bluff? I'm going to bluff. We're going to bluff. I'm going to bluff. Oh. That's one way to do it. I am going to bluff. The coffee one is interesting. Oh, it's like a wake-up thing? Okay, interesting. All right, 9-6. Let's take a flop. We pick up a flush draw. And we can do a couple things here. I think calling it allows us to bluff just as much as the jam does. Plus, we can get there for free. Once we hit the 9, we probably have enough showdown just to check anyway, so, like, whatever. Oh. That's a cool run out. At this point, I don't anticipate our opponent has much of anything. They might have a jack or a tray. They might have king high. Guess we're probably trying to get called by stuff like king high more often than not, so let's just go ultra small here. I just think, you know, that's kind of the whole point. When they, like, full pot the flop on a at that stack depth, when they don't shove pre-flop and then they try and rep an ace like that, they're just going to end up having, like, nothing a lot of the time, so. Blind v blind there, actually, guys. I think we might have missed a push. I think we can shove most of our queens there. We need to be... I think we need to be all in there with the queen tray. Now I look at it again. Just a sec, guys. Sorry, guys. I was going to say, we need to look at our short stack ranges again, like ultra short stack. What's up, Eagle Hunter? Good to see you. Heads up. This is a call, I think. Against this guy that we don't really know that well, though, do we just play it a little bit on the safer side here? And in a 2x, we need to be careful about that, though, guys. What I'm saying is, like, when we're playing the really fast ones, when we're playing the actual normal flash games, like, making those folds might be a huge mistake because we just have equity. It's obviously an easy call. Can we get lucky? All right, that feels good. Yeah, I understand, Cool Hand Matt. I agree, buddy. I tend to agree. Although it's been a while since I've played anywhere else as well. We're not going to get a dime, are we, guys? Oh, we got a dime. What did our opponent have here? What the hell? 10-4 off, called the river. Okay, that's interesting. I accept. All right, another game in the bag.
Actually, if only there was someone that
Thank you for the follow.
was an expert at sub 25 big blind. That's what you sound like.
How do I say this name? All right. I don't know how to say this name, but welcome. Good to see you. Pleasure to have you here. I'm not going to try and say it. I'm going to end up saying something stupid, right? It's one of those. Might not be. Welcome. Thank you for the follow. So Sandrine, yeah, at the start of today's stream, I said that this is the first time I've played Spin and Goes since the change, since the merge. I said at the very start, I will always love the traditional format. For me, personally, on a personal level, regular speed Spin and Goes, 25 big blinds, 3-minute levels. That to me was a very, very, I mean, it's like a perfect format for me. Like, I think it's fast, but it's not so fast that there's no play. It allowed for, a significant amount of heads-up battle. And yes, I absolutely do prefer that format outright. However, this is where we're at right now. And trying to take on the new challenge and see what's possible with this change. But absolutely, yes, I will always be a classic spin fan. Yeah, this one's got to go, guys. Wish me luck. Just anything force plus, we're just going to run here pretty much. Ooh, right. Actually running pretty good in the all-in department today. It feels nice. We haven't looked at the graph yet as well. We can take a look at a graph in a mo. How do I filter the chips, though? It's a funny one. I'm going to have to figure out how to filter the chips correctly. This one is, where are we at? 10? Yeah, 3. That works. Oops. Minimize the window on accident. And at this point, I think we check and we call a shove if we need to. Absolutely not going to be folding. Look at the equity we have in this spot as well. The only alternative to checking is obviously just ripping flop, right? That's what we're going to do a decent amount of the time. But the issue that we have is if we're ripping, we're only going to get called by better. If we check this flop and we allow ourselves to get jammed on, we can actually catch a significant number of bluffs that we have good equity against, right? So the hearts have got to go. The 8-9s have got to go, especially the 8-9 suiteds without the hearts, even though I'm sure the hearts would love it as well. King Queen might still be as part of this range. I'm not sure. I can't remember how King Queen is supposed to respond versus the large ISO. Do I think we're supposed to call 3.5x ISOs with Jack 8? I think probably theoretically there is a chance. If they're well versed on the 1/3 stack ISO range, that actually might be correct. But it is important we recognize that in this situation, particularly with 2 of our cards and a gut shot, we just have too much equity to get away from our hand, right? It doesn't really matter how we play it, but we're trying to find a way to actually, convince our opponents to make mistakes. And I think the check has an interesting, I think the check is an interesting prospect. But you guys can see here, even after we make the call and our opponent does wake up with top pair here, Look at how much equity we end up with in this spot. This is beautiful, right? Almost 40% equity in a pot where we're calling, you know, effectively one stack. It's a Brazilian name. There you go. Okay, good. Mark7 says, well, it's rarely good when you get less options. I think that the games are absolutely much faster, dude. Yeah. What I do find interesting is what I aim to sort of discover during this time, because Spin and Go Flash wasn't a game I played a lot of in the past. I have certainly played quite a bit, but what I'd be interested to learn is, you know, I'm gonna have a conversation with some of the guys that have previously played Flash full time, which is a thing, absolutely, and try and figure out where their exploits exist, right? Because again, Spin and Goes as a proxy for regular tournament poker can be very powerful, because we can learn a lot about how to play, you know, extreme short stack depths where our opponents won't if they're not studied in games like this. Learning where the exploits are, even when the blinds are excruciatingly fast, you know, will be interesting. But marker 7, generally, yes. What that is that I mean, look, when the blinds are going up faster and we have fewer big blinds and we're playing closer to push fold, then obviously it's going to reduce edge. You know, it's going to come down to distribution a little bit more. As a sit and go pro myself, I find the wide variety of wacky plays by Fish hard to keep up with. Sometimes same hand can be played wacky 5 different ways. That's completely the name of the game, buddy. Yeah, I feel for you. That's something I encounter all the time, and actually just being able to really quickly profile opponents, not just going, okay, this guy doesn't know what he's doing and that's it. Like understanding that he's the kind of player that will blow up if you give him some rope, or is, you know, the kind of fish that's way too tight from out of position, and you can really exploit that by limping in with a wide range, or, you know, increasing your ISO range or whatever. Yeah, I think they are playing a lot of volume. Cool hand, Matt. Absolutely, that seems pretty clear. Oh, 40%'s fine? We could do 40%. That's easy. Nice. All right, ace 10. Wish me luck, guys. Ooh, backdoor spades. Oh, we're unlocking all the chests today, guys, apparently. Okay, lol. This is funny. I think some of these... All right. All right. All right. So this should be a pretty good turn for us. Obviously, we are going to be wary of some Jack X combos. I think with this run out, though, we're probably not going to get away from our hand. This just feels like a spot where our opponent is going to be, you know, very, very aggro. with a large part of his range. We managed to lose the minimum, which is great there because we're not just assuming because he doesn't bet flop, he doesn't have the. We're not just assuming because he doesn't have. Just because our opponent doesn't bet the flop, we're not assuming he doesn't have a jack there, obviously. Is this the right size? Right, this is fine. Yeah, this is correct. The best spinning goes is where both players are sitting out. You cheeky boy. You cheeky boy. Yep, getting trapped by sixes here. We would have gone set over set anyway. That's unfortunate, but there you go. The trays are going to go in no matter what at that stack depth, right? The trap is very good, though. Trapping sixes here is really important. Running into queens. Going pair over pair twice here is kind of a nightmare. Diamonds? Oh, my God. Running the trays into sixes when we're always going broke, and then trays into queens when we're always going broke. Can we take it all the way back here, guys? Go on. Go on, mate. All right. We need this braggy. Is this reasonable audio? Absolutely. And the queen 7 is there as well. So Steven's got a good question here. Very reasonable question. He says, why is jamming low suited connectors worth it? So it depends on the circumstances, right? In poker, that always depends. But in many situations where we feel like we're probably going to want to play a very pushy, foldy strategy, I'll give you some examples of that in just a moment. Suited connectors actually mathematically become quite powerful. So the example that you're probably making reference to is blind v blind there. We shoved 6-4 suited at around 14 big blinds or whatever it was. We were kind of, on the shorter side. Whenever we're in situations where we're out of position to an opponent, it can very often be the case that in order to be unexploitable or to, take control of that situation more often than not, we work out what mathematically is profitable to shove, and then we play it as a shove, right? Now, in that situation, we're going to do a mix of things, so we're not simplifying it that much. But when we get to the lower stack depths, blind v blind, for example, when we actually do the math, we work out that actually having these sort of low suited connectors, 8-7 suited, 6-4 suited, 6-5 suited, these are hands that probably perform best from a GTO perspective as an all-in. The reason why they're so powerful is because when we're all in for 14 big blinds, our opponents are going to be forced to fold a lot of hands, and they will fold a bunch of hands that are actually technically ahead of us. So hands that have equity to win, or hands that might beat us post-flop, or just they're folding a big part of their range that is really beneficial to us profiting and winning more chips than we should. But then they have the added benefit of performing very well against the calling range. So if I shove 8-7 suited and your big blind calling range is going to be like ace-king, ace-queen, ace-10, ace-9 suited, ace-10 suited, all these like big Broadway hands like 8-7 suited, 6-5 suited suddenly actually have a lot of equity. So, in many cases like 40% or something like that. So what ends up happening is you work out the math like this. You go, what is my fold equity? How much do I win when one of my opponent folds? And that actually works out to be a significant amount because that happens often. And then how much do I win when my opponent calls versus that range? Thankfully, people like me, I'm not particularly good at math. People have done the math on our behalf. And therefore, what they have discovered is that those combinations are great examples of hands that are really good to use as shoves when we want to play a shove because we claw back so much value in the equity that we have when we're behind. So a hand like 8-7 suited is one of the best hands to have to try and crack aces, for example. So why don't we select hands that do really well against people's calling ranges so that when we do shove and we get it wrong, I say get it wrong, just because we run into it doesn't mean it's not the right play. Let's choose a group of hands that performs very well when we do run into big hands, but do it in a way that is mathematically sound where we know that over a long time we're going to profit. So is it risky? It depends what you mean by risky. Is it a situation that I know is going to be profitable? Yes. Can I do it every time it will be profitable? Yes. And remember that when I say doing it profitably every time, what I'm describing is here's a setup that I know what I'm supposed to do with most combinations. I know that this combination will profit as a jam if I do it every single time, and therefore I'm going to take that situation every single time. But we're going to do it in a balanced way. So we're going to include good hands in our shoving range that will balance out the times when we don't have particularly strong hands, and we're doing it with, more of a merged range. So hands like 8-7 suited, 6-5 suited. All right, next game. There are programs that will basically just indicate to you what the best play is going to be from a GTO perspective. Now, that doesn't mean that that's what I advocate for. GTO is always going to be very good, but you want to learn how to exploit the opponents that you play as well. You want to learn how to play exploit poker. That's going to be where your significant edge comes from. The problem is, though, going back to like why we do it in that situation, it's very difficult to exploit your opponents when you're out of position. Good players will learn how find ways to do it, yes. But generally speaking, when we're blind v blind and we're out of position, it just kind of always sucks. So the best way to play our way out of that situation is very often going to simply be to play those combos as a push and just simplify that situation when you know it's going to work in the long run. Yeah, there you go. McLaurin is basically echoing the same thing I'm saying, yeah. I think betting here is fine. I think checking here is fine. I think betting is probably slightly better. And then I think we absolutely continue bluffing. And I think probably what we want to do is 3. Can I just get there with the straight? Now, once our opponent calls twice here, and then we get to the river, which is a paired board, we kind of need to stop anticipating that we're going to get as many folds. You guys know I'm very aggressive. I'm happy to barrel off, but these are the runouts where our opponent is just going to turn up with a hand they probably don't want to fold often. King Queen, that's pretty wide on the turn. I will say it's a good call, and I respect it very much. But I would say more often than not, when our opponent calls twice, they're going to turn up with, at the very least, ace high that wants to call again. That was perhaps a trap as a limp, or a 9 or a 10. Conserva says, hey, Nick, do you expect a lower chippy V after the recent changes to the format? Yes, absolutely. But that's happening for 2 reasons. Number one, the games are faster, so the edge is reduced. But then also, on top of that, there are literally less chips in the game to win. So there's going to be a new formula to calculate your EV ROI in dollars. You know what's really annoying about that spot? If my opponent improves, there are some ways that they improve that give them the straight, but also we end up having like live cards as well as the draw, which is even more tilt. So yeah, conserve us. So you remember that the way that the game is structured now, there are just going to be fewer chips in play overall. Full stop. I'm calling the river back. Come on, we can't fold the river. Surely. The problem is the way that he played King Queen makes me think that if he's doing this, he's probably value betting us. I don't think this is the way he bluffs is the really sad story. Oh, God, this is so gross. All right, I'm drawing upon my previous information, right? I'm making a very brave fold here. And in the time it takes me to make the brave fold, the blinds have gone up again, obviously. So yeah, conserve us. I need to work it out. I've spoken to somebody who knows the actual formula, but there's going to be a new calculation for chip EV in order to work out dollar EV. Steven is saying, "Wow, that's so cool. Thanks for the explanation." So, would you play any suited connected? So, look, this is where this gets a bit more complicated, Steven. So it sounds like you've correctly identified that pre-flop decision making is important. It's important we think about the hands we enter pots with. That's very important in poker, especially in Texas Hold'em. But what I'm describing is one specific thing that it's like one specific spot. So in that particular situation, I chose to shove 6-4 suited blind v blind for 14 big blinds or whatever it was, because I know that is going to be a profitable way to play the hand, especially in a format where the blinds go up quickly, and it might be better just to simplify some of those spots as push fold, rather than allowing for a larger decision tree and potentially making mistakes where it's probably more important we chip up faster. Now, having said that, you could have that exact same setup and we could be 25 big blinds effective, and then you want to play the hand completely differently. And this is where the complexity of the poker steps in, you know what I mean? So make sure that you are not thinking about hands like, oh, I saw Nick play suited connectors really aggressively, so that's what we should do every time. You need to ask yourself, what's my position? What's my position relative to my opponents? What's the effective stack depth? Effective stack depth meaning how deep are we between us? So if I have 100 big blinds and you have 20 big blinds, the effective stack is 20 big blinds. It's always the less of the two stacks because that's what we can play for. We can't play for more than 20 big blinds each because you don't have enough chips to match what I have, right? So think about your position. Think about your position relative to your opponents. Think about the effective stack depth, and then start to formulate your plans based on the effective stack depth in the position. Then once you're post-flop, you can start to make assumptions about what your opponents have based on that pre-flop action. Let's get into another game. So it's difficult to explain on the fly like this, buddy, but basically suited connectors are great, but they're great only in certain situations. There are other situations where you never play suited connectors, but suddenly you start to push them. It's there are certain setups where you're blind v blind with a suited connector and it's probably not worth playing, and then there's other situations where you're calling all ins with suited connectors. It's all going to be dependent on position and stack depth, basically. Deuce 6 is also a suited connector, though. Is 3 gap too far? So that's not. I wouldn't really call that a connector, to be honest, mate. That's definitely too far. When we talk about suited connectors, we're usually talking about 5-6 suited, 7-8 suited, 4-5 suited, and then maybe what we call a one gapper. Maybe like a one gapper. What's up, Stian? What's up, Tyrell? Good to see you guys. This is going to be this. Folds not brave, they are cowardly. I should know this. Yeah, exactly. And the cards are low as well. That's also an important point, yeah. What's up, Sacramento? So in this spot, I'm shoving Queen 7 suited because we are 7 big blinds, effective blind v blind. And again, that might not be intuitive, but I know that it will be profitable, and it's probably the only thing we want to do with that combination in that situation. So some of this is just going to come down to memorization and study, because there are a lot of situations that you'll study and you'll go like, that absolutely makes no sense. What idiot created this content? And then you do it again and again and again and again, and you realize how much you're winning in that situation in the long run. But it can be counterintuitive for sure. All right, KT, let's go. Ooh, I got a summer drink throwable. Summer drink throwable. Conservative says, Nick Walsh, maybe some adjusted charts to the new format. Well, technically there shouldn't have to be adjusted charts, buddy. That's the point. I might add. It's been a while since I've done a sim, actually. But hey, thank you very much for the gifted sub. Thank you, Strag. Appreciate it. So I might add some stuff on the extreme shallow end, but anything that I add is going to ultimately very frequently end up just being Nash anyway, so it's not really that helpful, and it might not be worth the work. So, for example, our heads up goes down to 5 big blinds, and then anything under 5 big blinds, we're assuming we're going to play majority Nash, which is not incorrect. That's not a simplification. That's just kind of true. There is a chance that if I ran 4 big blind and 3 big blind sims, that there would be some silly extra GTO over the top stuff. But I don't know if that's of real value, and I don't know if it's worth the work, buddy. I think what's important to remember is that the charts that I've provided you guys are really, 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 really good. They're excellent content all the way up to, 30 big blinds effective or whatever, which was, appropriate for previous spins. However, that doesn't mean that they need adjusting just because we're starting at a shallower stack depth, right? We're just starting at a shallower stack depth. Therefore, there's just more of this being used than this, if that makes sense. Can we have the full comeback with the ace-jack of hearts? Wait, summer drink first. The summer drink Bach. That's unlucky. Do you have any favorite baits to get people to commit, like Hollywood or slow rolling? No, not really. I tend to keep it pretty respectful at the table. Sometimes I do throw the occasional Santa, but it's not out of disrespect. It's just a habit that we got on this channel at some point. Comeback is real? It's kind of a cold deck. Obviously, ace-4 is never folding here versus the jam, but ace-8 holds nice hands. Do I have any examples of those stupid situations that are actually supposed to be played? I mean, I guess the one that I just described to you is like, and again, it's not saying it's stupid because it's stupid. It just feels stupid. So, I suppose the pseudo connector thing is one that really freaks people out. They don't realize how much you can be shoving your pseudo connectors as you get shallower. Another thing that people don't intuitively think about is when we're heads up and we are really shallow, you still want to be trapping a lot of your smaller pocket pairs. So a lot of players instinctively they go, okay, I've got pocket fives and we're 10 big blinds effective. Well, I just want to shove because, we're getting shallow and I just want to be all in and I want to generate fold equity. And it just makes sense because, pocket fives, what if the board comes really high? Then I don't know where I'm at. But actually, unintuitively, what we're supposed to be doing is trapping a lot of those sort of middling pairs because the kinds of hands that our opponent shoves versus limp very often dominate those hands. So we end up having more equity. But then also because they end up having more playability at the shallower stack depths in a check pot than you might anticipate. So as soon as our opponent, if we limp pocket fives and our opponent checks at 9 big blinds effective, for example, very often we can start to cap our opponent's range. We can start to remove significantly huge portions of their range because they would have played those hands more aggressively pre-flop versus a limp. And then those pairs actually end up having a significant amount of playability even when we don't get the trap that we're looking for. What's up, Demo? Six big blind all in roll, exactly, Tyra. Hi, Nick. I've been playing some twisters on iPoker, got plenty of experience heads up, and been studying three-way. What would be a good GPV to aim for over a decent sample? So, Ben, I don't know if you heard, but basically spinning goes on the stars have changed now. They merged spinning go flash and regular spinning goes, so the fast ones and the slow ones. Fast ones and the slower ones, they were both fast, obviously. And therefore, we're still waiting on kind of what that looks like. The change came in like last week, I think. This is my first time playing spins since the change. And, that's actually something that we're going to have to work out moving forward because everybody who's previously known exactly what that number was, playing whichever format they preferred, is now going to is now going to have to work out what that is because, there's not enough volume yet in the community before we know what a good GPV looks like with the changes. Steve said, you had a 4 and a 5 and you hit a pair of 4s. Why would you let him see the next card for free? Isn't it dangerous for him to hit a pair? So it's not as dangerous as you think. What's more dangerous is betting our middle pairs in those situations and allowing our opponents to check raise us as a bluff. Because getting blown off a pair of 4s when our opponent is check raising with a flush draw or a gut shot is not a good situation to put ourselves in. By checking, we actually end up giving ourselves a little bit more information and we deny our opponents the opportunity to turn their hand into a check raise bluff most of the time. That's not to say we don't always. That's not to say we always check our second pairs, but we do a blend of checking and betting based on our kickers. So the stronger our kicker with the 4, which was the second pair, the more likely we are to bet, because therefore when our opponents do continue, we're going to have more hands that we dominate with our kicker. But that's not as important. The more important takeaway is that we are going to do that because it's important to deny our opponents the opportunity to check raise as a bluff aggressively. If you're playing against somebody that doesn't check raise as a bluff, go ahead, just bet. It's all good. I guess the other thing you encounter at that point, though, is that you will be outkicked sometimes with your middle pair too. So overall, probably the most optimal line is simply to check middle pair with the 5 kicker. All right, 6 deuce. I don't recognize the guy on the right. When they're limping at this stack depth, it is a little bit freaky, but he did just limp fold at like 6 effective just now. Let's continue and see what happens. It appeared that he had a limp folding range at 6 big blinds effective previously, so I don't think that means we suddenly need to give him a strong hand on King, Queen, Deuce 4. See if he just gives up. Interesting. Yeah, nice hand. Generally, though, when people limp blind v blind at those ultra short stack depths, we do need to be wary. If it wasn't for that previous hand where he did actually just like limp fold when we were super shallow, then I think we probably can just get away from it. It's fine. Yep, blind v blind, standard stuff. Jack 4 off is a push. We had like 3.5 bigs or whatever. It's just the math push. Oh, ace queen's a good hand, yeah. Running into ace 10. Top pair with the spades is a nice flop. Well done, buddy. Well done, mates. Accidental slow roll deserved. Ba, 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 da, ba, ba, ba. All right, guys, so probably like another 15 minutes of games or so. We'll take a look at some results as well. Take a look at the graph. I need to figure out how to filter now, guys. This is a whole different thing now. So what's the starting stack? No, we had it here, wasn't it? So it's between 300 and... Oh, it's the total number of chips, though, right? So it's between 900 and... I suppose it's, yeah, 900 and, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, cool. Yeah, that looks like it worked. All right, Busto in that one, obviously no good. Next game. In the paired four situation, if he raises, should we fold since we have bottom pair? So it wasn't bottom pair if I remember correctly. It was second, unless we're talking about different spots. So that's my bad. But uh, no, we're not checking the fours. We're not checking middle pair to give up. But what we're trying to do is control the size of the pot. This is potentially a bad board for us. It's a good turn, though. Why is our opponent leading? I mean, we're not going to fold, but, you know, it's just such a weird way to play that hand. I have questions about this one, guys. I have questions about that one. Need to work on my note taking here. We can bet the turn. Let's size up now. We're trying to get value from diamonds, from the deuce X, from the 4X. If they have the deuce of the 4, they're deuce of the 3, excuse me, they'll just check river here. So I think it's fine to check. I would say probably we're more likely going to run into a flush here than anything else, though, so we're getting away from the river. But looks like we probably got value on the turn, which is always nice. Didn't seem like we had any more outs since unlikely a 4 or a 5 will come up. It's not about that. It's just about having the best hand, Steven. Remember that in short-handed poker, like the ranges are so much wider, and actually just having any pair is so much stronger than it is when we're playing full ring. What's up, Juju? Good to see you. Why are you limping at 4 big blinds effective? No. See, this is confirmation here, gang. We don't do this. This is no good. Do not limp King 7 here. And call LOL. Put that one in the bin. Yo, big deal. Thank you very much for the sub. Thanks, mate. Appreciate you. What did I do to deserve such good friends? Thank you, mate. Appreciate it. I'm going to play my golf in a little bit. Actually, I'm going to play my golf in 15 minutes. We have a pair and a flush draw, guys, and it's a 10 high flush draw. It's a 10 high flush draw. Can we possibly fold the turn? Honestly, can we even fold the river is the question. Can we even fold the river is the question. Is it even possible to fold the river? This is a sad story, isn't it, chat? I feel like we do want a hero call here at a decent frequency, though. Oh God. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna go with my gut. Wish me luck. Oh my days! The 10-4 hero call feels fantastic. I really like the way he plays his hand, though. It's just like it shows so much style. Like it shows so much finesse the way he sizes his bets here. I do think it's the bet size that makes me think on this one a little bit, but I have no doubt it's balanced, so it really doesn't mean much. But we start the hand at about 8.5 big blinds effective. This is a board that you're going to range bet. You know, you're going to bet all your flushes. You're going to bet all your bluffs. The turn sizing here, I think, is just so cute. The 1.5, I think, it shows so much threat. In a situation where we will just have a lot of hearts that just don't care to continue, or 4x or 3x, we're not going to have a king that often. I would say we probably don't play a 9 this way that often either. Calling flop is fine, but on the turn, on the river, potentially we find leads or something. I don't know. It's a complicated one. It's very complicated, but I do think we have the kind of hand that hero calls really nicely because I think he has a lot of incentive to continue bluffing. I think the 1.5 and then shove river is like really good poker though. But obviously we're prepared for the fact that he will bluff this at a decent frequency. We have a pretty good bluff catcher, in my opinion. And there you go. We're going to pick that one up. Nice. Let's get some more games in. We got the bike bell throwable now. Okay. We're unlocking all this stuff. The biggest deal O'Neal on the internet. Sorry, guys. All in. Sometimes isn't it good to limp and then have them believe you would never have the card like the ace you had earlier? The guy probably thought you would have jammed. Yeah, there's definitely times there are absolutely situations where we want to trap 100%. The situation with the king 7 is not one of those. Club. Yeah, let's go. The king 7 is not a spot. What's up, Specky? Good to see you, man. How are you doing, Mr. Specky? Sacramento, yes. I'm not sure when, but I will be doing a lot more coming up. Pocket Five's definitely got a call here, guys. Wish me luck. It's actually a spot where we dominate a fair amount, too. Cinco de Mayo on the river. GG. All right, probably one or two more games, guys, depending on the multi. Yeah, so the king 7 there just does not perform well as a trap. Boom. Yeah, I will be doing WSOP. I think probably more ramping up towards the end of this month. I think we're fine to bet turn now. We actually can get value from some clubs, from some gut shots, and from some 3x. Check river. He's going to show us. He's going to have he's going to have 5-3 of diamonds. Okay, I was close. I was close on the tray that we were out kicking. I had the tray right. I had the tray correct. Right. So, where are we at with this hand? We're going to take a check. I haven't decided yet, Specky, but I have an idea. I think I'm going to play $50,000 of spin and goes at the $10 stakes with the new format. I was going to play higher, but obviously the new format's faster. It's going to be higher variance, and therefore I think I need to have more volume. So I'd rather move down and play 10s and then have more volume. So that's like, what, 5K games? 5,000 games at the 10s just to feel it out. And if people are enjoying the content, we can ramp it up next year. Seems good. I think we can do a couple different things here. I think checking is going to be fine. And then I think we probably just do this. Fabian is asking, are yellow regulars? So yellow is a player that I have marked as a probable reg, yes. When I mark somebody in blue, a lot of people think I'm marking people because I think they're fish. That's not true. Sometimes that is true that they end up being fish. But when I mark people in blue, it's usually just because I've seen them do something that I want to remember, that I've noted that's alternative to GTO or something that I haven't expected. There are lots of players that have been marked as blue and then became yellow, like, very quickly. We're trapping with ace-jack here, of course, guys. Beautiful little trap against the ace-7. But as soon as you've made yellow, if you're yellow and you've got exclamation marks, it means you're confirmed reg. Like, it means I just know that you're playing a lot of poker. That's enough information. Sometimes there'll be additional notes as well. That is a good little setup for us. Let's try and get one more game in here before we take a look at some graphage, guys. But yeah, nice, cute little 2-hour sesh here. Sevens, 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 sevens. Let's put in a little trap here with the sevens. And we're going to put out a little value bet on this flop too. Proyecto, yellows are regular players. Yeah, that's how that works. It's a bit weird we're getting raised here, guys. Like, I feel like this is going to be quite bluffy. I mean, you can have a king, I guess, but we'll see. 3-5 is definitely a concern. Raising 3-5 makes sense. Really? I don't know. This is weird, guys. I don't know if I believe this, to be honest. Is this how we play a king these days? Could actually have the 3-5 is the problem, but all right. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think this is a I don't think this is a king. That worked out nicely. I'm still waiting for the air fryer segment. That's definitely coming eventually, mate. Don't you worry. Ace-5 suited. No, we're checking this one back. Cat FC. Playing for the 3x multiplier. So our opponent checks the flop here. And now we're full potting the turn. I don't know. This just doesn't seem like a way that people bluff, to be honest. If they're going to bluff, they just bluff flop. I'm going to make a tight fold. And then queen 10, I'm just going to simplify to a push at 11 big blinds effective. Queen 10, king 10 here, just hands you just don't want to get too fancy with. All the suited varieties, though, you want to get really fancy with because they play much better when your opponent checks back pre. Steven says, doesn't feel like there's a lot of bluffing going on in these games. There's tons of bluffing going on in these games. when we're playing three-handed poker, don't forget that ranges are super wide. And when ranges are very wide, we end up having a lot of... we can shove this one too. This is a profitable shove. I think against this player, we're going to try and sneak in a limp. In hindsight, actually, maybe we should just push against this player. They did have the 5x ISO just a moment ago. In any case, we're not folding yet. Thank you, Proyecto. Yeah, exactly. Cool, exactly. Yeah, when we're playing against a player pool with a lot of regular players, when we're playing a short-handed game or heads-up game, there is tons of bluffing. It's just not necessarily big bluffing, right? It's just happening all the time because people just never have anything. And when people don't have hands, we want to have a lot more bluffs. Like this bluff, for example, the 10-deuce offsuit bluff. The 10-deuce offsuit ISO bluff. Effective. Blinds are up. We're under 10 big blinds now. And therefore, it's going to get real pushy. Swain, I kind of like it, to be honest. But like also, that opponent probably isn't anticipating the average opponent to be... they're probably not anticipating the average opponent to be playing sevens as competently as that either. Like a lot of players are just not having. Oh, that's an annoying turn. A lot of players not having a lead with sevens there. Tons and tons of bluffing happening as well. I don't know if I play the hand the same way, but I think it's probably pretty good. I think it's probably pretty well played. All right, GG's last game. Let's take a look at some results if I can find out how to filter correctly. So today, let's take a look, guys. Give me a sec. Let me figure out how this works. All right, so if I filter for session and today apply. Give me a second to refresh this, gang. There we go. This is in big blinds, I think, right now, which is not what we're looking for. We're looking for chips. We're looking for chips over hands played. All right. So let's take a gander over here. All right. Welcome to the first ever session with the new merged spin and goes. So we pretty much murdered this session today, guys. So if you guys aren't used to looking at these graphs, the red line is our chips won at non-showdown. The green line is the chips that we've won at showdown. And this very important yellow line in the middle is our EV chips. So the number of chips that we win in expected value is important because it's a good indicator of long-term profitability. When you play a game that is winner-take-all, and you know how many games you win, how many chips you win on average per game, you can get very close to estimating what your actual true EV will be in the long term. So after everything was said and done today, guys, we ended up with a chip EV of 80 chips per game. And we played 22 spins, one tabling here for 2 hours. So I think it's probably safe to say that if we played a normal 3-hour session, which is what we usually do here at Nick Walsh TV, let's call that 30 games an hour per table. So let's call that 60 games a session. I think that's probably fair. If we were properly two-tabling, there's obviously a bit more overlap, so we probably end up getting close to 60 or 70 games per sesh. These are important numbers because this is the kind of thing that we need to consider when we're working out how we want to do this challenge. Now, if I want to play a challenge in the new world with the new merged spinning goes, we're going to need more buy-ins. And I don't mean that because I need a bankroll and I'm looking for money. What I mean is, like, if we're thinking about this as though we were doing a challenge with a set bankroll, you need more buy-ins in a game that has higher variance. We're going to want to play more volume if we want to have any reasonable results that show any reasonable amount of skill. We could run good. We could run bad. If we play enough, it should actually sort of all come out in the wash. What is a reasonable expectation for EV at the $10 stakes? I have no idea. Everything's changed and everything is turned on its head now. So we don't know, but that's kind of what the experiment is going to be about as well, I suppose. That wasn't the intention because I didn't know it was coming, but now that we've seen the change, we can think about these things and we can maybe use the experiment as a way to see what's possible. Do I think it's possible to have a chip EV of 80 chips per game in the long term? Probably not. That seems exceedingly high. I mean, that was pretty high. I suppose at the tens, at reg speed, that might not have been completely ridiculous, but it's still pretty high on average. But also, let's not forget that a chip EV of 80 needs to be adjusted for the new expectation because there's fewer chips in play. So that chip EV of 80 actually might be theoretically much higher with the new format than it was with the old one. I don't know. Let's work that out later on, guys. We're making progress. We've played the new spin and goes as of today's date. I don't know if I'll make a note or something about the games we played today. But what's the takeaway? What's the takeaway here? So if we want to do a challenge, I think that we probably want to play the tens. That's not about, like Nick's broke, Nick needs a bigger bankroll, Nick's afraid to play higher stakes. You guys know that I'm happy to play 10s, 25s, 50s, 100s. I've done that on stream for a long time. That's not what this is about. However, there is a big difference between playing $25 games and regular speed and $25 games and spin and go flash. Any player of any stake, of any style, at any skill level will tell you that that's the case. If I were to say to two friends, all right, John, you want to play spin and go flash, and Steve, you want to play regular spin and goes, here's the same bankroll. That doesn't make any sense. Spin and go flash is always going to be higher variance, and that's what we're going to play the majority of when we're playing these games. And therefore, we're going to need to play a different sort of style of bankroll management for the challenge. That just means we want to have more buy-ins, and it means that we probably just want to play a stake that allows us to play more volume so that what we show up with at the end has some reasonable scientific meaning. If I play 1,000 spin and go flash, it's not the same as if I played 1,000 spin and goes. So when people come to me and they say, hey, Nick, how do I know if I'm any good at spin and goes in the past? I would have said, play 2,000 games, and that should give you some idea about how you're doing. If you play 4,000 games at regular spin and goes, you'll have a very good snapshot of where you're at from a skill perspective. If I said to you, go away and play 4,000 spin and go flash, it's just not. That's still a good sample, I suppose. But with a game that literally takes about a third of the time to complete, there's going to be so much volatility inside of that sample. So I'm not sure if we glean too much scientific knowledge from a challenge perspective doing it that way. But if we were to say, let's say we set ourselves a target of $50K, that's 5,000 spin and go, merge spin and go, whatever we're calling these. That is still a pretty good sample. I don't know if maybe we want to go a little bit higher than that. It's just what we want to accomplish on stream as well. If we're going to two-table in the future on stream, and that will be how we proceed with the challenge, right? If we stream, let's say 99% of what goes into the challenge overall, we don't want the number to be too high because there's not that many days left in the year, and there's still a lot of other stuff that needs to happen between now and then, right? I'm not just streaming 24/7. I've got to do other stuff. I've got to travel for work and, whatever. I feel like we could set the bar at 50K. And if we play that at the 10, that's 5,000 games. And if you imagine that in the average session, we're going to play 60, 70 games, probably more than that, to be honest. It works out probably higher when we're two-tabling. That suddenly feels like a relatively achievable goal. So let's just do some quick math here. Let's say we want to play 5,000 spin and goes at the $10 stakes just to kick things off and see what the state of affairs is. So that's 5,000 spins. That's $50,000 gambled, wagered. And let's say we divide that by, let's say, 70 a day. So that's 71 streams between now and the end of the year to get to that finish. And that seems like a very achievable number while also probably being wildly entertaining for you guys watching me suffer. Because it's going to be a wild ride. I mean, the volatility in this is going to be pretty extreme, but this will be accompanied with some social media. I'm going to do some wrap-ups. I want to try and work with some spin and go friends on how to drill spin and goes. Might be a good experiment on how to drill ultra short stacks, but it's not really as interesting as I was intending on it to be. Mr. Swain, no, they did not. However, we have discussed. So have after the changes were made, did have a sit down and discussed my thoughts on it and shared many of the opinions of the group as well. Steven says, wouldn't playing when the fish play be the best way to make money? I mean, usually playing against weaker opponents is going to win you more money, yes. It's just difficult to know exactly what that looks like in each format. But game selection is important. Yarrow, essentially, spin and goes are going to be faster. They merged the spin and go flash and spin and go regular pools. What time do most fish play? That's the tricky bit, Steven, is there are probably better times than others, but it doesn't work as simply as, because everybody's not in the same time zone, right? Sparky is saying, what about spin and go max over regular spins? I haven't really been a spin and go max player my whole life, so I can't comment. I know that they made some changes to spin and go flash max recently, though. Maybe it is a viable option. I just haven't looked at it. What's up, Patty? Good to see you. Thank you for the support. Tom says, I don't think you have to justify it to anyone. Not that it even needs justification. Do you want it? I think the 10s are ideal. I know, man. I'm really not trying. I'm not trying to justify it. I'm more like thinking out loud. It's like, I appreciate you saying that because like there's an element of that sometimes. But I do think that generally speaking, what I'm trying to come to terms with is what's my objective with this challenge. Like originally, it was just meant to be a bit of fun that you guys could follow along with and just follow the swings. 100% transparency with the results. Now with the things happening, now with the format changing and becoming, the merge spin and go, I do think it's a kind of a good idea to experiment or something. It's something to follow in the wake of the changes, which obviously are pretty significant. I feel like $50K $10 games is good, and if you guys really back it and people are really enjoying it, then we can ramp it up. I mean, if every session looked like this, we'd be absolutely murdering, so that's fun, but there you go. All right, so anyway, guys, there you go. We won a few bucks. Let's take a look at the actual stats. We ended up winning $60 in today's session. That's 6 buy-ins. That's pretty good. Obviously, we were just playing $10 games today, so that is a very nice situation. We won about 80 chips per game, which is super good. I need to figure out what that actually means with the new blinds, but we'll work that out hopefully for the next time we stream. So guys, this was great. Thank you so much for coming to support me. I know it was a bit of a chill, like sort of hangout stream. In the future, starting from next week at some point, I am going to start putting time into this challenge. I will formalize it. I'm going to do a reel about it. I might even do a YouTube video about it. I'm going to keep this super ghetto. I'm going to keep this super lo-fi, and I'm just going to basically just jump into it, and I'm just going to show you guys everything. The good, the bad, the ugly, and we're just going to wade through it and see how we get on. I think the 10s are good. I think 50K is a good target to begin with. That just seems like something that we can accomplish without putting too much strain on what is already a very busy schedule for me in 2025. And I still think that's going to be fun. And I do think that there's some scientific evidence we can extract from it so we can learn something about how spin and goes are working. Anyway, that's going to be all for today, guys. Thank you for coming to hang out. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. There's a chance I might still jump on and do some more streaming this weekend, but I haven't really considered it much. I got a bunch of other stuff I want to get done before Monday. There's something happening on Monday I can't talk about, but it's going to be really fun. And I will see you guys soon. You guys will definitely see me at least on Monday, so keep your eyes peeled. If you guys don't follow me already, I'm going to put some links in the chat now. !Nick will get you links to my Twitter, my Instagram, my Discord, my website, and my YouTube. And if you guys want to get better at spinning goes, there's some good content on the website, as well as loads of free advice on the Discord and PokerStars Learn and everything like that too. Drop me a follow now, and I'll let you guys know about some cool stuff that's coming in the future. What's happening on Monday? I can't talk about it. I actually don't even know if I'm supposed to talk about it yet. Maybe I am. We are going to be doing something spin and go related, and it might even involve some of your favorite ambassadors as well. Monday, 2 p.m., we are doing a stream, and it involves those things. And if you like that stuff, then you need to be here. I love you all very much. Thank you for your continued support, guys. I am going to put together a plan this weekend, and then you guys can follow along. And I think it's going to be kind of something you can like. Doom scroll, you know. So that's it. Love you all very much. Enjoy the rest of your day, guys. I will see you on the flip side. Signing off for now. Bye-bye.